Most people think that by the time you're pushing 80, you're supposed to slow down, maybe even stop altogether. But every single morning, I run. Not shuffle, not jog, run. And I'm 78. I get asked all the time, how do you still do it? The truth? It all started with one simple morning drink. Nothing fancy, no expensive supplements, no miracle pills, just a homemade tonic I've been drinking for over 15 years. It keeps my joints smooth, my energy up, and inflammation in check. Today, I'm going to share the full story and the recipe that changed everything. I wasn't always a runner. In fact, I didn't lace up my first real pair of running shoes until I was in my early 40s. Back then, I just wanted a break, a mental reset after long workdays and the stress of raising kids. Running started as a once-a-week escape, a quiet moment before the house woke up. Slowly, it turned into something more, a habit, a way to clear my mind, a challenge I looked forward to. I ran my first local 5K at 44, and by 50, I was doing 10 Burmese chats regularly. I felt stronger than ever, for a while. But then came my 50s, and things started to shift. My knees ached in the mornings. My hips felt stiff. Some days, just getting out of bed was a struggle, let alone pounding the pavement. I started skipping runs more often. My energy dipped. I chalked it up to aging, and deep down, I worried that my running days might be over. By the time I hit 61, I was seriously considering hanging it up for good. But I wasn't ready to give up. I didn't want to lose that part of myself, the one that felt alive and free out there, just me and the road. That's when I started digging. I didn't want a quick fix. I wanted something sustainable, something natural. And that's when I came across the morning drink, a blend of simple, natural ingredients that promised to support joint health and reduce inflammation. I figured I had nothing to lose. Within weeks, I started noticing a difference. The stiffness eased. My energy crept back in. Runs felt smoother again. I felt like myself, maybe even better. I've learned since then that staying active at any age isn't about being superhuman. It's about being consistent, listening to your body, fueling it the right way. And sometimes, all it takes is one small change to keep doing what you love, year after year. It was a conversation I almost didn't have that changed everything. I was catching up with an old friend over coffee, someone I hadn't seen in years. She looked vibrant, younger than I remembered, and full of energy. Naturally, I asked what she was doing differently. That's when she mentioned a morning drink she'd been making, something she'd picked up from a book on anti-inflammatory nutrition. She rattled off the ingredients like it was no big deal. Warm water, lemon juice, grated ginger, a splash of apple cider vinegar, a bit of turmeric, and a pinch of cayenne. Optional honey if you needed to soften the kick. Honestly, it sounded like one of those wellness fads, the kind that promises the world and delivers next to nothing. I nodded politely, but inside I was skeptical. I wasn't looking for a miracle, but I was curious. My knees had been barking louder than ever, and my energy felt inconsistent. High some days, flatlining the next. I figured if nothing else, I'd at least be getting some extra hydration in the mornings. So I tried it. Threw the ingredients together, held my breath, and took the first sip. It wasn't bad, spicy, tangy, a little jolt to the senses. I made it again the next day, and the next. After about 2 weeks, I noticed something strange. My joints didn't feel as tight when I got out of bed. That morning hobble across the kitchen, it was shorter, less painful. A few days later, I realized I hadn't felt bloated in a while. My stomach felt lighter, digestion smoother. Even more surprising, I didn't feel the usual 2 p.m. crash I'd grown used to. My energy wasn't spiking. It was steady, sustained. That's when I knew it wasn't just coincidence. I started making the drink every single morning. It became part of my routine, as natural and automatic as brushing my teeth. I didn't overhaul my life or change my diet overnight. I just added this one small habit, and it made everything else, including running, feel possible again. What started as a favor to a friend turned into the foundation of how I care for my body to this day. Most mornings, I'm up by 5:45. I've learned that good sleep is the first step to a good run, so I try to be in bed by 9:30 most nights. It's nothing fancy, no blackout curtains or sleep trackers. I just stay off screens before bed, read a little, and let my body wind down naturally. The earlier I rise, the more time I get to ease into the day without rushing. That's important to me. I don't like waking up straight into stress. The first thing I do is stretch, nothing intense, just enough to wake up my muscles and loosen the stiffness. I do a few neck rolls, shoulder circles, and gentle hip openers. I'll touch my toes and hang there for 20 seconds, then come up slowly. One of my favorites is a slow cat-cow movement. It gets the spine moving and helps shake off any stiffness left over from sleep. I've found that even 5 minutes of stretching in the morning makes a huge difference once I hit the pavement. Then, I head to the kitchen. That's when I make the drink, my daily ritual, my reset button. I boil a cup of water and let it cool just slightly so it's warm, not scalding. Into the mug, I squeeze the juice of half a lemon. I grate about a teaspoon of fresh ginger and stir it in. Then I add a capful of apple cider vinegar, a pinch of turmeric, and just a dash of cayenne pepper. Not too much, or it overwhelms everything. Some mornings I'll add a bit of honey or cinnamon for a smoother flavor, but most days I keep it simple. I stir it all together and sip it slowly, usually while watching the sky lighten outside. I drink it on an empty stomach. That's key. I've found it helps with digestion and absorption, and it really does feel like it wakes up my insides. It's like a natural switch that tells my body, all right, let's go. About 20 minutes later, if I'm hungry, I'll grab a small pre-run bite, maybe a banana with peanut butter or half a slice of toast with almond butter. Just enough to give me a little fuel without weighing me down. By 6:30 or so, I'm out the door. No music, no headphones. Just me, my breath, and the rhythm of my feet on the pavement. Some days I run 5 miles, some days 2. It's not about distance anymore. It's about presence. That quiet stretch of time, just for me, powered by a bit of movement, a bit of mindfulness, and one very simple drink that's become the anchor of it all. I keep the ingredients for my morning drink right on the kitchen counter, not hidden in a cabinet, because I use them every single day. They're simple, natural, and each one pulls its weight. Over time, I've come to appreciate not just how they make me feel, but why they work. When I first started, I didn't know much about the science behind it. I just knew it made me feel better. But once I dug into what was actually happening in my body, it all started to make sense. Take ginger, for example. It's not just for flavor. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory. I used to wake up with stiff knees, and there were days when I'd feel a dull ache in my hips for hours. But ginger has compounds like ginger that help reduce inflammation, especially in the joints. After a few weeks of drinking it daily, I noticed I wasn't waking up in pain as often. That alone was reason enough to keep it in the mix. Then there's turmeric. This one's a powerhouse for joint health. It contains curcumin, which has been studied for its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. I remember reading that it's even been compared to some over-the-counter pain relievers in its ability to reduce swelling and joint pain, without the side effects. I've never taken pain meds regularly, but turmeric has made it easier for me to stay active without feeling sore for days after a long run. Apple cider vinegar was the ingredient I was most skeptical about. I wasn't sure why sour vinegar would do anything for me, but once I started adding it, I noticed my digestion felt smoother. No more sluggish, heavy feeling after meals. It turns out apple cider vinegar helps balance blood sugar and supports gut health. For me, that translated into fewer digestive issues and more stable energy throughout the day. Lemon juice is another underrated star. It's alkalizing, even though it tastes acidic, and it supports liver function and detoxification. It also adds vitamin C, which helps with immunity. I used to get colds like clockwork every winter. Now, I might get a sniffle once in a while, but it never lasts. The cayenne pepper gives it that subtle kick. It boosts circulation and metabolism, which is especially helpful first thing in the morning. It's like a natural wake-up call. Plus, it adds warmth to the drink, which I find really comforting. And if I'm in the mood, I'll add a spoonful of honey, mostly for taste, but it also gives me a touch of natural energy. It softens the bite of the vinegar and cayenne, and if I've got a long run ahead, that little bit of sweetness helps. Put all of these together, and it's more than just a drink, it's a natural system reset. Each ingredient supports something essential: joints, digestion, circulation, energy. And together, they've helped me keep moving all these years, without needing anything artificial to get me there. The changes didn't happen overnight, but a few weeks after I started drinking my morning tonic, I began noticing little shifts, subtle at first, then undeniable. The most immediate difference was in my joints. I used to wake up feeling like the Tin Man, stiff knees, tight hips, ankles that didn't want to move. That morning hobble to the kitchen was my daily routine. But one morning, about 3 weeks in, I realized I wasn't limping to the coffee pot. My knees felt smoother, looser. The stiffness was still there, but it passed quicker. Within a couple of months, it was barely noticeable. Then came the changes in my digestion. I've always had a sensitive stomach. In my 50s, bloating became a regular annoyance. I'd eat something perfectly normal and feel weighed down for hours. After adding the drink, I felt lighter after meals, more regular, and less sluggish. I didn't even realize how uncomfortable I'd gotten used to feeling until that discomfort disappeared. It was like my body finally got a chance to reset. Energy was the next big thing. I used to crash around mid-afternoon, reaching for a second cup of coffee or something sweet to stay awake. But after the drink became part of my morning routine, my energy felt steady. Not hyper, not jittery, just balanced. I could get through the day, even stay active in the evening, without dragging myself across the finish line. It also showed on the outside. My skin cleared up, brighter, smoother, less dull. I noticed I didn't get sick as often, either. I used to catch a cold every season like clockwork. But in the years I've been drinking this, I can count on one hand how many times I've actually been sick. The combination of lemon, ginger, and honey, along with better overall health, definitely helped my immune system stay stronger. But maybe the most surprising benefit was emotional. I didn't expect this little ritual to affect my mind, but it did. I felt calmer. My thoughts felt clearer, especially in the mornings. I started each day feeling grounded, which carried over into everything. How I handled stress, how I interacted with people, how I felt about myself. That clarity made me more productive, but also more present. And physically, the results weren't just something I felt, they showed up in my numbers. At my last checkup, my doctor raised an eyebrow when he looked at my blood work. Lower inflammation markers, better cholesterol, even a reduced resting heart rate. Whatever you're doing, he said, keep doing it. That was all the confirmation I needed. It's not magic. It's not a cure-all. But it's been a steady, natural boost. One that's allowed me to keep doing what I love. Running every day at 78 isn't just luck. It's the result of showing up for myself, day after day, starting with one small drink. Building this habit didn't happen by accident. I had to make it easy, and I had to make it stick. One of the simplest things I did was set everything up the night before. I'd line up the lemon, the ginger, the apple cider vinegar right there on the counter, so in the morning, I didn't have to think. When you're tired or in a rush, those little steps can be the reason you skip it. But if it's all there, waiting for you, it becomes automatic, just part of how you start your day. I also learned quickly that taste matters. The first time I made the drink, I followed someone else's exact recipe, and it was a little intense. I tweaked the proportions until I found what worked for me. Maybe a little less cayenne, a bit more lemon. Some mornings I add honey, or even cinnamon if I'm in the mood. The point is to make it something you enjoy, not just tolerate. If it tastes good to you, you'll actually look forward to it. The biggest tip? Don't expect instant results. This isn't a quick fix. I tell people to give it 3 weeks, not one. That's how long it took me to start feeling real changes. You've got to be patient and trust the process. Healing and energy don't come overnight, but they do come with consistency. Another trick that helped me was to pair it with another habit. I drink my tonic while I stretch. It's quiet, calming, and those two things together became my little morning ritual. For someone else, it could be journaling, reading, or even just sitting by a window for 5 minutes. And finally, keep it visible. I don't tuck the ingredients away in the pantry. They stay out. A reminder every morning that this small act matters. It's not just a drink. It's a message to yourself that your health is worth showing up for, one day at a time. I get a lot of questions about this drink, probably more than I expected when I first started sharing my routine. One of the most common is, can I still have coffee? Absolutely. I still enjoy a cup of coffee most mornings, just not right away. I usually wait 20 to 30 minutes after the drink. Give my body a chance to soak up the benefits first. The drink doesn't replace coffee, it complements it. Then there's, what if I'm allergic to one of the ingredients? That's a valid concern. If ginger or turmeric doesn't sit well with you, you can leave it out. The beauty of this drink is that it's flexible. It's not about following a perfect formula. It's about creating something that works for you. You can swap fresh ginger for mint, or leave out the cayenne if spice is a problem. Make it yours. People also ask, is it safe if I'm on medication? I always say this, talk to your doctor. Some ingredients, like apple cider vinegar, can interact with medications or conditions like acid reflux. I've never had an issue, but everyone's body is different. It's always better to be cautious and have that conversation with a professional. Another question I get often is, will this help me lose weight? The drink isn't a weight loss magic trick. But here's what I'll say. When I started feeling better, I started moving more. I made better food choices. My cravings settled. And naturally, yes, I did shed a few pounds. But that was a byproduct of feeling good, not the goal. Can younger people benefit from this too? Absolutely. The sooner you build healthy habits, the longer they'll serve you. This drink isn't just for people over 60. It's for anyone who wants to support their joints, digestion, and energy naturally. And finally, isn't vinegar bad for your stomach? Not if you dilute it properly. That's why I mix it with warm water. If you have a sensitive stomach, start with less or check with your doctor. Listen to your body. It's the best guide you've got. I've never been one to jump on health trends, and I wouldn't be sharing this if it didn't hold up beyond just my own experience. A while back, I spoke to a nutritionist about the drink, just to make sure I wasn't fooling myself. She nodded as I listed the ingredients and said, "Honestly, this is a solid routine. These are all well-researched, natural compounds with proven benefits." She explained that ginger and turmeric, in particular, have strong anti-inflammatory properties that can support joint health over time. Apple cider vinegar may help with digestion and blood sugar regulation when used moderately. And while none of these are miracle cures, she emphasized that what makes them effective isn't the ingredients alone, it's the consistency. It's about supporting your body every single day, giving it tools to reduce inflammation, improve digestion, and maintain balance. She also reminded me, and I remind others, that everyone's body responds differently. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, but this drink is a great example of how small, daily actions can add up to meaningful long-term change. It's not hype, it's habit. And sometimes, that's the most powerful medicine of all. You don't need to become a runner to feel the benefits of this routine. Not everyone wants to lace up their shoes and hit the pavement, and that's perfectly fine. You can start small. Take a short walk in the morning, do a few gentle stretches, or simply begin with the drink. Just one glass. That alone can be the first step toward waking up your body and mind with purpose. This whole thing isn't about being extreme. It's about being intentional. When I started this journey, I wasn't aiming to be an athlete. I wasn't chasing medals or personal records. I just didn't want to rust with age. I wanted to move, to feel good in my skin, and to hold on to the little things that made me feel like me. And this drink, it became a symbol of that choice. A simple, daily commitment to not give up on myself. So if you're curious, don't overthink it. You don't need to change your whole life overnight. Just start with the smallest step you can manage, maybe tomorrow morning. Pour the water, squeeze the lemon, and begin. That's where everything changed for me. You don't have to be a runner. You don't have to be 78. You just have to be willing to start. Sometimes, all it takes is one small shift, one drink, one habit, to create a ripple that changes everything. That's what this did for me. I didn't set out to defy age or prove anything. I just wanted to feel good in my own body again. And now, all these years later, I'm still out there running. If you're even a little curious, try it for a week. See what shifts. It's never too late to begin.